to as our business partners, and hopefully you will learn some things and be able to share some things with friends and family and coworkers. So I'm going to turn it over to our guest speaker, who is Glenn Kirk, our Executive Vice President of Marketing and Business Development. Glenn.
Thank you, Lindy. Appreciate y'all coming out, and we're going to talk a little bit about fraud and identity theft. We do seminars for lots of different groups, so we put some contact information up there. If you know a social group, a club, a church, another employer that could benefit from free financial seminars, just call us. We do it as a part of our community outreach. All right. Fraud and identity theft is blatant. I mean, it's out there, and you've got to really be aware of it. And we're going to start with the Equifax breach that occurred several months ago. And the reason we're starting there is it's not going to go away. The Equifax breach was so huge that the crooks are going to have ammunition to use for 20 years. So everybody almost is impacted by it. 143 million consumer accounts were breached. And that means their names, their social security number, their addresses, birth dates, even driver's license numbers. And as many as 209,000 complete credit card numbers were breached. So with all of that, there's a lot of danger in your personal financial accounts. Equifax is offering some assistance, so you can go to their website to check to see if your accounts were breached. Now, they're not real definitive. They'll tell you that, we think it was or we don't think it was, and that's about as good as it gets. But they are offering some free services that you can take advantage of for 12 months. Now, they're probably going to try to sell something to you after 12 months, but they're offering it for free right now. So, by the way, if you have questions, feel free to ask. Keep going. Other things that you really need to do as a result of the breach, the most powerful thing is to freeze your credit accounts at all three of the major credit bureaus. The phone numbers are in your presentation. Freezing an account is a drastic measure, but it'll prevent anybody from applying for credit in your name. And that's what crooks do when they get your information. And it hurts your credit because they get a loan in your name, but they don't pay it back. So I have frozen all of my accounts, and I'd advise you to do the same thing. It's a little bit of a pain because when you do, you can't get a loan either until you unfreeze it. Okay? Fraud alert is okay. It's not quite as powerful. You can do that. What happens is then it's up to the lender to verify who you are before they grant you a loan. But there's lenders out there, especially these anybody drive car dealers, that they don't care. They just want to get somebody off their lot with a car. It's very important that you get copies of your credit report and use annualcreditreport.com. The reason that is really important is that you can actually see if there's activity on your credit report. Okay? Also, monitor your credit score every week using Credit Karma. Also, be aware of any emails coming to you from Equifax. That's where the breach was, and the crooks are already sending out emails saying that we're going to protect you, just provide us your social security number, etc. So be very wary of those. File your taxes early. One of the things that crooks are doing with your information is filing a fraudulent tax return to get money out of the government. And so then when you file your return after that, the IRS is going to have a big red flag on your return. So file your taxes early and take immediate action on these things. It's really important. Watch for things like missing mail. The reason that is, one of the things crooks do with your information is apply for credit cards. And when they do that, when they are expecting your card to arrive in your mailbox, they will come to your house and just take your mail, and they take all of it. So it's really important if you have missing mail from, at my house, If I don't get any mail in a day, that's really unusual, but 2 or 3 days in a row, that's a huge red flag. If you get statements from creditors where you don't have accounts, of course, big red flag. Start getting collection calls, or your credit score starts to fall. Like I said, crooks don't pay you their bills, so if your credit score falls, you'll know there's a problem. We'll talk a little bit more about that. The reason there is so much identity theft fraud out there is that crooks get a lot of money from identity theft. Do you know how much the average bank robber gets when they come in and stick a gun in the teller's face? They get about less than $2,000. The average identity theft crook gets over $10,000. A bank robber faces 10 years in prison, and identity theft crooks are hardly even ever pursued. So, how do crooks get your information? Unfortunately, if it's not through the breach, it's through family members who have access to your personal information. That's the most common. Losing a wallet, having somebody steal stuff from your mailbox. By the way, never mail any mail from your mailbox, right? If you have one of those little mailboxes at the street and you have outgoing mail, you put up that little flag, right, to let the postman know. That tells every crook that's driving by there just to drive up and take your mail. Because there's probably a check in there that you're paying a bill with. And once I get your check, I can go down to Office Depot and get checks, basically, print your account number and information just like is on your checks, and go to town, writing checks on your account. So be careful of that. Sometimes they'll fill out a change of address form to divert your mail. And they also send out email spoofing websites like the Equifax thing, but even the IRS, the FBI has all been spoofed. Impact on victims for identity theft: damaged credit report, loss of job opportunities, getting refused loans. If you're a victim, you're going to spend 30 to 60 hours of your time trying to resolve it. And it's going to cost you in excess of $1,200 in fees, attorneys, all that stuff to start to renew your credit. Also, protect your Social Security number. You don't have to give out your Social Security number everywhere you go. Any of you all have your Social Security card with you now? Good for you. Because you shouldn't carry it, because there's so few times that you ever need to have your Social Security card or to present your Social Security number. If a clerk asks you for identification for using your Social Security number, don't give it to them. They don't need it. Certainly don't have it printed on your checks, because if a crook's got your checks, they've got your address, they've got your bank numbers, and then they have your Social Security number. And don't use the last 4 digits as your PIN, because if a crook somehow gets a hold of your PIN, just your 4-digit PIN, and it's the last 4 of your Social Security number, the other numbers in the Social Security number identify where it was issued and kind of what time frame. So a savvy crook, if they've got the last 4, they can maybe interpret the first numbers as well. Okay, we talked about Social Security. Shred those pre-approved credit offers, because the last thing you want to do is have somebody send that back in your name and then steal that card from your mailbox. So if you're not going to take advantage of it, shred it. Here's a great thing that you really ought to think about doing, is copying all the credit cards, identification material, everything that's of importance that's in your purse or wallet. The reason is, if your purse is stolen, it's going to be really difficult to remember what all was in there. I have a great example. My wife and I went out to Sunday brunch at a little barbecue place to have breakfast, and the booth we were in was kind of tight, so unfortunately I put my wife's purse down on the floor at our feet. And while we were there, some young man sat at the booth behind us, saw her purse there, reached in and got her wallet out of the purse. And we didn't know about it until we were at home, like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and her bank calls and says, did you just put gas in 3 cars at such and such gas station? And did you buy, $2,500 worth of electronics at Best Buy? So we knew something was up. She went, her wallet was gone, and the difficult thing we had was coming up with all the things that were in there, account numbers and all that. If you copy it, then front and back of the credit card, you're going to have the card numbers, you're going to have the toll-free number you need to call. So copy it, but keep that in a safe place. I wouldn't recommend a safe deposit box, because if it's on a weekend that you lose your purse, you won't be able to get to it. So keep it in a safe place in your house. Pick up checks at the credit union or your bank, because like I said, crooks, look in mailboxes. I mentioned earlier, monitoring your credit score with Credit Karma, because if a crook gets your information, applies for loans in your name, they're not going to make the payments, and you will see your score fall. Now, I don't get anything for recommending Credit Karma, but I use it all the time. They change my credit score or update it every Friday. So first thing Friday morning, I pull out my smartphone, and this is what comes up. This is not my scores, but it shows me my credit score at 2 different bureaus. So it's normal for your credit score to go up and down a couple of points every week, just because of how you're managing your credit, what your credit card balances are, a number of things. But if you see a period where your score just keeps falling and takes a big plunge, it's a big red flag. And that's the fastest way to find out something's happening on your accounts. Credit Karma's free. There's a lot of good information that they provide. This is what they're, if you go to the App Store, you look for that logo, the CK, and just download it to your phone. I highly recommend it. I use it personally, and I really like it.
Hey, excuse me.
Sure.
Before you move on, I was wondering how Credit Karma gets compensated. I mean,
Yeah, that's a great question. Credit Karma gets compensated.
I've always been a little suspicious and didn't want to go there because I didn't know what would happen.
Yeah. If you go onto their site, down at the bottom, there'll be something that says, we think you ought to take a look at this credit card. And so when you click on there, they're either getting something off for each click or for something when you apply for that credit card. That's how they're getting paid, is advertisements on their site. But they don't put junk out there. Even the credit card offers that they put out there are pretty good. So, and you don't have to click on it. So you can go through their whole site without clicking on any ads.
Okay.
It's not burdensome, yeah. Okay, so what do you disclose if somebody calls you? If the IRS calls you, how much information do you give? Trick question.
Aren't they supposed to communicate through mail?
Yeah, IRS doesn't ever call. They don't ever send you an email or a text or anything. They send you that dreaded certified letter that says, uh-oh, that's what it says. What about your financial institution? Sometimes they do call. Why might they call?
Suspicious activity.
Perfect, they do. That's kind of a problem because I get so many weird phone calls that if I have actually hung up on a financial institution calling me about suspicious activity because I get so many other crazy phone calls. But if they identify themselves as your financial institution, it's good to answer that. They also might call you if you're not paying your loans, right? But that's about the only 2 reasons they're going to call you. Card issuers too, they might call you to let you know they're raising your limit or to question fraudulent activity, but not so much. Okay, let's talk about the theft side and get away from identity theft. Have you all heard about theft at ATMs? The latest one, and this has happened in the Greensboro area, is blocking the cash dispenser with some item that is black so that your cash can't come out, right? So you're waiting and waiting and waiting, you hear it spin, but nothing comes out, so you cancel it, take your card out, and you leave, and then the crook takes that blockage out and gets your cash. So be very careful. If you can hear the dispenser turn, and your money didn't come out, just feel around and see if there's something there blocking it. Y'all heard about skimmers? This is prevalent, and it just is ongoing. Skimmers are used on gas pumps and ATMs, and sometimes even inside of stores. What happens is there's a little device that goes over the real card reader, and you have to pass your card through that device for it to get to the real card reader. And what the skimmer does is record all the information that's on the back of your card, which is your card number and all kinds of stuff. The PIN's not on there. So what they use in conjunction with the card reader is a pinhole camera that sits up there so that when you put in your PIN number, they can record it. So then now they go and make a card from the information that they have skimmed, and they use your PIN number to go into your account at ATMs. Be really careful. If there's something on that real card reader that looks out of place, if the color doesn't match, grab it and shake it. If it shakes, big problem. And that's ATMs and gas stations and anywhere else there's like a self-service point of sale. Always a good idea to cover up your keying in of your PIN, because you never know who's going to be watching. So even if there is a pinhole camera up there and you cover it up, you're still pretty well protected. I have this almost every time I do this presentation, and it sounds so simple, but a senior citizen gets a call and says, "Hey Grandma, it's me." And Grandma says, "Is that you, Billy?" "Yeah, Grandma, it's Billy. I'm in Myrtle Beach. I got arrested because I did something stupid and they need $500 to get me out of jail. But don't tell Mom and Dad because I'm not supposed to be here. You know, I'm supposed to be overnight at Fred's house." So Grandma gets all excited, goes out and borrows $500 to a destination point, and the next day, Billy calls back and says, "That wasn't enough, Grandma. Now they want $1,000. So if Grandma didn't call Billy's mom and dad, she can be out some money. And that has happened to me, not to me, but I've heard from a bunch of people that either it's happened to them or happened to somebody they know. So that's going on. Mail fraud, you've won the lottery. You'd be shocked at how many people get that letter and they believe it. This is the letter. Now this didn't duplicate very well, but it's an official looking letter. And it's got some gold foil on it. It looks really nice. And with the letter, there's a check. And the check's usually about $4,800. And the letter says something to the effect, "Congratulations, you won the lottery. You've got $1 million coming to you. Here's a check for $4,800. And that's to help you pay the first bit of taxes on the money. So send us back a money order for $2,500, and we'll release the other $995,000, whatever it is." So, of course, what happens is they deposit that check, and they send a money order, and the check bounces, and so they're out the money that they sent to the lottery. A similar one is a mystery shopper. You know, people apply for jobs online now, right? All the time. If you're out of work, you may apply for 30 jobs, 40 jobs in a day trying to find something. So if you do that, you get a letter back that says, "Congratulations, you've been hired." Now, you may not have applied for a mystery shopper job, but you get the letter, and it's just like the lottery. You get a letter, it says you've been hired, you get a check in the mail, and usually it's around $4,800, and the letter tells you the places they want you to go shop, and they say you get to keep all this merchandise, but we also want to test out Western Union, so get a $2,500 wire from Western Union and send it to us. The check bounces, you're out the money you wired, and you bought a lot of merchandise you probably didn't want. So if you didn't apply for a mystery shopper job and didn't have an interview, it's probably fake. All right, credit card offers. Not usually fraudulent, just kind of sneaky. Do you know what pre-approved means? We all get those, right? You've been pre-approved, 0%, whatever it is. You know what pre-approved means? It means you've been approved to get this letter. That's really all it means. Doesn't mean you've been granted credit. Now, it's likely that you will be granted because they don't mail those just to everybody. They have a pretty good list of people with good credit scores that they mail to. Read the fine print. Those 0% offers that come in, there's not a thing wrong with them. And it's 0% for a certain number of months. That's not a bad deal to use somebody else's money for, 9 months, 10 months, whatever it is. But the catch in the fine print is that if you ever are late one day on a payment, or if your credit score falls, it might not have anything to do with that credit card, but your score falls, your interest rate immediately goes from 0 to somewhere around 28%. That's the fine print. So be really careful. There's also something out there called tribal sovereign immunity. We had a gentleman in our office who fortunately is pretty savvy, but he got a letter in the mail saying, you've been approved to get a $1,200 check. I mean, it was not like a pre-approved offer. It said, just reply, we'll send you a $1,200 check. When he read the fine print, the interest rate on that $1,200 was 599%. We calculated it up. For him to get a $1,200 loan for a year, his payments were somewhere around $755 for a $1,200 loan. Why do people get caught up in that? Because they need $1,200 and they don't read the fine print. Who hadn't gotten this email, right? From somewhere, usually in Africa, it's a leader of a country that's been disposed, and they've got $9 million they need to get out of the country secretly, and if you'll just let them use your account, you can keep 10% of it. And then they give you some things to call them or send them an email, trying to get your account information so they can not put money in, but take money out. Also, there's a lot of email fraud. This is one that actually came to me at work, supposedly from the United States Postal Service, but there's some red flags in here. First of all, it's from the Czech Republic. So the Postal Service probably not sending mail from the Czech Republic. Numbers in the address is always a big red flag because scammers use lots of different email addresses to get their message out. So if you see numbers, big red flag. Also, there's always grammar errors. Like this one says delivery of parcel, missing an A, missing an apostrophe and couldn't. Wrong date format. That's a European date format. We use month, day, year. They use day, month, year. And they always want you to click on a link. I don't ever click on them, so I don't know where they go, but I can tell you it can't be good. So watch for fraudulent email. There's always a lot of warning signs. Also, I mentioned the email extension in that last slide. These are just a few of the foreign extensions that you might run into. There's hundreds of them, 500 or 600 of them, because it's not just country. It could be a section of the country, it could be an island. But you can get a list of those on the web if you want it. This is one that's recent. This is a really good looking scam. I mean, it looks good. It's got correct grammar, colorful, and basically it says, hey, G. Kirk, I don't even know my name, but it says, hey, G. Kirk, thanks for being a Sam's customer. We've got a $50 gift card for you. And I do shop at Sam's, but not enough for them to give me $50. So the one red flag you can find, there's 3 links on there, and if you click on those links, they all goes to the same place. If you click on anything, it's taking you down the road that you don't want to go. I also get these from Target, Starbucks, Amazon. There's a bunch, and it's more than just those, that come to me at work and look great. But, it's a fraud. If it's coming to you by email, it's a fraud. Other things to watch for on email are these warning signs in the subject line. If it says invoice, package delivery, payment approved, all these things, it's a big red flag because that's the kind of stuff that's in the subject line, or there may not be anything in the subject line. That's also can be a real red flag. So if you don't recognize the sender, then, and even if you do, you still have to be careful, because I get crazy emails that are supposedly from my daughter talking about what Oprah did today. Because somebody went into her email and skimmed all of her email addresses and just sending stuff out. One of the big signs, one of the ways you can find fraudulent email is just to read them. This again came to me supposedly from the IRS, but I'll just read it to you. Your enterprise has remained unpaid tax debt. We remind you that you impossible get behind payments. Reason for rejection, see information in the report below. So they want me to click on that report to take me somewhere I don't want to go. So grammar is a big red flag, plus the IRS never sends emails to you. And if they ever did, I hope their grammar was a little bit better than that. Unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that I'm telling you about today has actually happened to me. I got this email at home, and it says, basically, I'm a hitman. Someone close to you has paid me to kill you, and they're going to pay me 10 grand. But I've been following you around for about 3 weeks, and you look like a pretty good guy. So if you'll send me 5 grand, I won't kill you. So when I got that email, I said, honey, come in here. Of course, she denied. Another current scam is selling a car or vehicle online. What happens is, and this was actually on WFMY News about 3 months ago, the guy had sold a vehicle, and let's just use round numbers, let's say it was $10,000, and made a purchase. You know, the guy came to get it, and he brought a check for $11,000. He says, I'm really sorry, my accountant made a mistake. He was supposed to give $1,000 to my driver and $10,000 to you. So just take this $11,000, my driver will be here in a few minutes, give the $1,000 to the driver, right? So you got $11,000 check that bounces, you're out $1,000 you gave away, and your car's gone. So if somebody brings you a check for more than what you're asking for your vehicle, big red flag. Now, you know, I've sold cars online, I've bought cars online. You just have to be careful doing it. In fact, most of the car sale sites now have warnings at the bottom about the current scams that are going on that you should watch out for. All right, if you find yourself in a position where you have been taken in, your identity has been stolen, Summit Credit Union does offer free identity theft protection, and not just for members, but for any employee at our business partners. So if you find you've had your identity stolen, we can help. You just have to call us. Let us know. We'll give that for free. All right, that is it. You guys have questions? Went through that pretty quickly, but any questions at all? Thank you.
Very helpful.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Good presentation.
Thank you. Also, before you go, I just wanted to say, we appreciate your time today. We hope that you had a little something of value to take with you, other than your handout. And keep in mind that as business partner employees of Summit Credit Union, you qualify for a lot of perks here. So if you're not a member already, please consider that. Once you join, your entire family can take advantage of the credit union. So we don't want to keep all the goodies to ourselves. Please also look in coming months for future seminars that you can take advantage of. And thank you so much. Have a fabulous day.
Thank you.